accommodations, so like movie theaters, malls, and schools, which was a big one. This is when desegregation started to occur. And so, in 1964, this was an important year for African Americans. It was a great year for us, but this act did strike a nerve with with many white Americans, especially those in the Deep South. And if you're familiar with American history, you know that the Deep South has a long history with the political and economic mistreatment of Africans and African Americans dating back to the 7th century in Jamestown, Virginia. With that being said, lots of white Americans were not pleased by the fact that they were going to start to have to actually interact with black people and treat them with some level of dignity. Now, police brutality definitely increased, well, I wouldn't say increased, but became more prevalent after this act because it was the racist form of fighting back against this act. And the Black Panther Party saw this and wanted a way to peacefully fight back with this. Now, over the next few minutes of the show, you'll learn that, or we'll learn, that lots and lots of people, with white Americans especially, thought that the Black Panther Party was a terrorist group or a hate group. And even today, in 2018, the new Black Panther Party, which is not affiliated with the one from 1966, is classified as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. With this being said, the Black Panther Party wanted to fight to get black people in office, they wanted to arm black people, and they wanted housing, jobs, and justice for all. They did this peacefully for the most part. Now, the Black Panther Party did have a few run-ins with police, with founder Huey P. Newton actually being accused of killing an Oakland police officer, where he was originally sentenced to anywhere between 2 to 15 years, but eventually got that overturned. And also, the group's newspaper editor and a young Black Panther also had a run-in with police where said young Panther was killed and 2 other officers were wounded. This left a nasty mark on the reputation of the Black Panther Party, which kind of assisted in how they were viewed and portrayed in American history. You can even find in some textbooks that they are still called a hate group and a terrorist group, though that was not their intentions. Their intentions were the betterment of African Americans, very similar to the NAACP, which is the Association for the Advancement of Colored People. These groups, though very different, had the same goal in mind, the advancement of colored people, fighting for justice for black people who have been torn down, mistreated, killed, unfairly tried over the course of American history. And so, the Black Panther Party, in doing all of this, fought and fought and fought, but they died off around the end of the 60s and 70s because lots of drama occurred both within the group and with the group and the FBI. There were lots of investigations, and over time, the group slowly started to kind of fade off. But the group's entrepreneurship and the lasting effect that the group had on the United States is just, it's astonishing. The things that they did and the things that they fought for so fearlessly are just so inspiring. And I believe that young people, especially my generation, should know about this pivotal group because they are a big part of the reason why we fight the way we do and why we have this fire burning in us to want better for ourselves in a country that is designed against us, in a country that doesn't take us into play, in a country that doesn't mention us in the Constitution. Young people should, I believe, take from the Black Panther Party and take from what they did and bring it back to life.
Very good. Over the last minute we have here, Alana, Africans are mentioned in the Constitution, but it's mentioned as
other
a
person.
three-fifth compromise,
Well, yes,
which means the representation in the United States Senate and the House would be based upon three-fifths of the slave population, and slaves were not allowed to vote. Three-fifths of the slave population when counting the number of representatives and electorals that the South would be able to receive. And so, yeah, they were mentioned in the Constitution, but they were mentioned to such a point that they were almost excluded and pinned down in such a place that it would be impossible for them to get out of over the next almost 200 years. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short